In my career, I flew 6 different blocks of the F-16. The airframe doesn't change very much, but there's a lot of differences underneath that you don't really see. For instance, this is a Block 40, and this is a Block 42. That was the same one. I only had one of these. Here's the thing. When I first started flying, my very first F-16 I ever flew was a Block 25. It had the Pratt & Whitney 220 engine in it. And this was like back in the stone ages of fighter pilots where there was no moving map, there was no targeting pod, there was none of that. After that, I flew the Block 40, the Block 42, the 50, the 52, and the Block 72, in addition to the Block 25. So that's all 6 blocks that I have flown. Later on in the jets, they got a lot of upgrades. The National Guard side, in some places, they upgraded through a program called SCU. And on the active duty side, they mostly upgraded through a program called CSIP, which became MMC. They're slightly different versions of software, basically, that were upgraded. But with each upgrade came various things like multicolor, multifunction displays, right? Block 72 had a large digital display on the center console rather than all the dials that used to be there. The later blocks all could add on things like a targeting pod, ECM, electronic countermeasure pod. All the blocks can carry a wide range of weapons. Major difference between many of these blocks is the engine. So a Block 40 and a Block 42, the big difference is probably going to be the engine, as long as they're both active duty blocks, right? Because if you have an active duty one, they're going to be an MMC software instead of a SCU software. But the Block 40 is going to have the GE100 engine, and the Block 42 will have the Pratt & Whitney 220 engine. And when you get up to the Block 50, you get a bigger engine. And so the Block 50 is going to have a GE129, and the Block 52 is going to have the Pratt & Whitney 229. Now, the Block 60 did have the upgraded GE132. I never flew those, but I did fly the Block 72. It still had the Pratt & Whitney 229, but it had a lot more of the cool toys on it. It had the conformal fuel tanks. It had the ESA radar, which was a major upgrade over the previous APG-68 radar that came out in the F-16 a long, long time ago, and they continued upgrading it through each block. But the major overhaul was when it got the ESA radar. And a lot of things changed on the inside of the airplane, but the airframe remained almost the same. When you go all the way back to that first Block 25 that I flew and fast forward to a Block 72 or a Block 60, the difference between those two airplanes, it's like going from a Commodore 64 to an iMac. They're both computers. They can both do the basic stuff like flying, but the capabilities inside the airplane are just completely different because of all the upgrades over the years. Those are the 6 different ones that I flew, and I love them all. Like and follow for more.